London, an exciting and pulsating metropolis of the new millennium. A melting pot of both people and culture, and a fascinating city of diverse contrasts. The precious jewel of the British Crown, full of historic sites and cultural treasures. The City of London contains the Tower, an historic landmark with a remarkable history. A mighty medieval fortress with 13 towers. Throughout its 900 years, the tower has served many functions. From the Middle Ages, it was a heavily fortified prison. Dating back to Tudor times, the beefeaters stand guard over the crown jewels and also assist the hordes of tourists who visit the tower. Close to the original main gate is the watery entrance of the famous Traitor's Gate, through which many prisoners first entered the tower's much-feared dungeons. The tower's ravens are protected by royal edict, as an ancient legend has it that the tower will survive for just as long as the ravens remain within its walls. It was here that some of the most important members of the British royal family were imprisoned and executed. The most famous victim of those cruel times was Anne Boleyn. Each of the towers has its own history, and each is connected to the other by way of massive walls. Together they form an eternal building. After the medieval St. Paul's Cathedral was destroyed by a devastating fire in 1666, Christopher Wren was ordered to rebuild it with a dome. During the 36 years of its construction, its design was frequently altered until finally a wonderful masterpiece of church architecture was created. And the cathedral provides a magnificent view across London town. The monument. This, the city's tallest freestanding stone column, is a reminder of the Great Fire of London that destroyed 4/5 of the city. In 4 days and nights, more than 13,000 buildings were destroyed. The monument was built on the site of the bakery in which the fire began. Westminster was originally London's second city, an additional centre of power along with the City of London. A district inspired by the construction of Westminster Abbey. The Abbey has witnessed the crowning and eventual interment of every English monarch. It was originally built as a Norman church and is London's oldest and most important church. Westminster Cathedral is different to the Abbey. It is a Catholic church that was re-established 300 years after the Reformation. A basilica of Romanic Byzantine design, with a red brick facade, green domes, and a panoramic campanile. Its interior is extremely colourful, various shades of marble and shining gold mosaics. It features more than 100 types of marble from all over the world. Located on the banks of the River Thames is the neo-Gothic Palace of Westminster. This splendid building served as a residence for the monarchy right up until the reign of King Henry VIII. It was once destroyed by fire but was rebuilt. Since 1547, it has been the seat of the English Parliament, the House of Lords and the House of Commons. Big Ben dates back to 1859 and is one of London's most famous landmarks. The tower derived its name from its 13-ton bell. When Parliament is in session, a lamp shines in the tower. The old district of St. James is full of historic charm. It includes the regal St. James Park that is now open to the general public. Henry VIII ordered that this former swampland be drained so that his French garden designers could create a marvelous royal park and enclosures for deer. Close to the park is the famous Horse Guards Parade, just one of the sights of London's daily changing of the guards. Only black horses take part. Dressed in their blood-red jackets and shining golden helmets, the guards are a truly impressive sight. Under the watchful eye of mounted policemen, the soldiers make their way to Buckingham Palace, a fine old tradition. Since the reign of Queen Victoria, Buckingham Palace has served as London's royal residence, the official living quarters and administrative offices of today's royal household. A garden of mulberry trees once grew here, and the Duke of Buckingham subsequently added a simple brick-built residence. Around 60 years later, George II purchased this site for his wife, and George IV eventually began to design an extensive palace complex. Today's front facade was originally the rear of the palace. The building contains 600 rooms and 1,000 windows. It was built at great expense and caused a financial scandal. The royal mastle contains the horses and carriages that are used for various royal ceremonies. 30 ceremonial horses are trained here. This exquisitely gilded fairy tale-like carriage is a remarkable focal point. It's the famous carriage that has been used to transport numerous English monarchs to their coronation in Westminster Abbey. There are around 70 historical carriages, landaus and light carriages within the large courtyards and halls of the Royal Mews. In the middle of the 19th century, architect John Nash designed Trafalgar Square as a large public area. In its centre is a 56-metre-high column in honour of Admiral Lord Nelson, who defeated Napoleon's fleet in 1805 at the Battle of Trafalgar. Once the location of the royal stables, this is now a place of huge fountains and ever-hungry pigeons. The square also contains the Church of St. Martin's in the Field and a museum. It has always been a popular location for political demonstrations. Thousands congregate here on New Year's Eve to welcome in the new year. The National Gallery in the northern section of the square contains more than 2,000 works of art. It is one of the largest art collections in the world. The Church of St. Martin in the Fields contains the mortal remains of several famous people. Piccadilly Circus is at the heart of this lively city with its theatres, bars and restaurants and constant flow of traffic. In the evening, an abundance of neon signs illuminate London's Piccadilly, a centre of attraction for the millions of tourists who come here each year. Leicester Square is part of Soho and has been the city's most popular entertainment district since the 17th century. It features large cinemas and the latest films, as well as gambling casinos and all kinds of attractions. A paradise of nocturnal entertainment. Soho also has its naughty side with exotic reviews, striptease and peep shows. Chinatown features arches and telephone booths that are crowned by pagoda-like roofs. Here, Chinese supermarkets and exotic restaurants are open well into the night. Covent Garden, now one of London's busiest areas, extremely popular with both Londoners and tourists alike. Once a lively fruit and vegetable market, and today a place of shops, restaurants and street entertainment. Both concerts and mechanical cabaret are very popular attractions here. Fascinating and somewhat farcical, bizarre and macabre. Neal Street contains a variety of alternative shops, from natural cosmetics to homeopathic medicines and vegetarian food to simple clothing. London is famous for its vast range of theatres and musicals. The West End contains a truly historic collection of magical theatres. Camden Market has become increasingly popular. Crowded, chaotic and multicultural. The home of cool and the latest fashions. It is here that extravagant designer shoes and clothing are sold before they're launched onto the mass marketplace. It's also popular for a tattoo or two. Weekends are frenetic here, and the area's shops, pubs and restaurants are always crowded. This is a place of the unusual, of arts and crafts, second-hand goods and valuable antiques. Camden Lock is a lock gate close to the market. From here, the Regent's Canal travels to London's Dockland. Those who travel on the canals must also operate the locks, but it's a worthwhile experience and a good way to travel across London. The Regent's Canal features boat trips from Camden Lock to Little Venice, a relaxing adventure with no hustle and bustle. In 1820, this canal connected the Grand Junction Canal in the west with London's docks in the east. It was designed by architect John Nash. The original route through Regent's Park was redirected, and now the canal travels alongside the park. The journey travels past various exclusive properties, and the canal banks are ideal for a leisurely stroll. The canal contains a growing number of houseboats. The green swathes of the park begin here. It's a popular area with one and all. Various side canals appear. It's difficult to believe that this tranquil setting is located in the middle of London. The boat gradually reaches its final destination, Little Venice, a small canal basin with romantic riverbanks, close to further locks. A relaxing area with tiny cafes and restaurants on both quays and boats. A dreamy area that lives up to its name. Officially part of central London, in 1820 Kensington was but a tiny village, and Hyde Park was a royal hunting ground. Victoria